One friendly remaining.
Time to back it up!
Killing zone deployed.
LMG mounted and loaded! Watch out! Shit! Target located! Go, go, go!
So I created this series because I want to discuss some operators on Rainbow Six Siege that could possibly get buffs, reworks, or complete overhauls to the character to make them more approachable to Rainbow Six Siege players. Just make them all around more choosable. That's kind of what the developers want from Rainbow Six Siege. They want every single operator that in the game to where you want to choose them, and you know they're all playable. They want to make sure that operators aren't picked too much to where they win all the time, and they want operators to kind of be in a well-balanced area in which people will pick from. I'm looking at the chart for year 3 season 1, and as you can tell, Tachanka is very very low. He's at the very bottom of the left bottom hand corner of the screen, and as you can see, he has like almost a 0.00 like percentage pick percentage. Yeah, he's just not a very good character, and I wanted to make the series because I wanted to discuss not just Tachanka, but maybe other operators in the future on what we could possibly change for them. And for Tachanka, I have 5 things I have in mind that I really wanted to change for him. Okay, for number 1, I kind of wanted an obvious choice. I don't know if this is really obvious, but I definitely do think he needs an increased radius of the shield. I think the shield is definitely a welcome inclusion to Tachanka, and I kind of think that made him a little bit better, but really it kind of did at the same time. Unless you're doing the mirror strategy where you have a mirror trap on the other side of the wall and you have Tachanka's turret aiming inwards, that's kind of the only thing you can really do with him, because the bottom half of his body is always exposed. You're always going to get shot from the legs from other enemy players, so it kind of just defeats the purpose. I think the shield, if it was just increased to his foot, maybe it could possibly have more advantage towards it, and I just think he had a lot more cover, so that way he can put the turret anywhere he really wants to, instead of having to just always be next to a wall or in a corner or something like that. I think you just give him a lot more maneuverability, and cool strategies could rise from it. And for number 2, I think this is probably something that they could actually potentially do. I know the shield's a little bit more far-fetched, but they should just give him a 360 view. They shouldn't allow the turret to turn in 360 degrees. I think this would just definitely help him out a lot more, because it kind of makes him a little more cumbersome when you have to only go in a direction of 180. I know it's a really large radius, but really when it comes down to it, having a degree of 360 would give him a lot more maneuverability. You can place him in a lot more places. He could watch a lot more corners. He's not just a sitting duck. He's still gonna be a sitting duck, but he's gonna be able to move a lot and like aim the direction of the turret a lot more to compensate for other enemy operators coming in different ways. This is probably just give a lot more playstyle with Tachanka and make him a lot better just from a simple change like that. Number 3, his clip is just really big. I don't understand why it only holds 51 bullets. I think the clip itself should just hold the whole magazine. That would make a lot more sense. There's a lot of times in which you're playing Tachanka and the enemy team is kind of just waiting for you to fire all your rounds out to the enemies, and then once you're done and you're reloading, they just go in to storm you and to kill you all the time. I think if the enemy players didn't know how much ammo you had, let's say you had 300 ammo in the magazine, and you had 300 ammo at all times in the turret. You never had to reload it or anything. I feel like that would give a lot more fear to the operators, because they wouldn't know when to go in. So it'd be kind of like a cat and mouse type of thing, and that would actually add a lot more diversity into the gameplay and kind of change the meta for Tachanka. For number 4, I think this is probably one of the bigger things they need to do. They need to change the recoil of Tachanka's gun. I feel like it has way too much recoil for how bad he is and how he's just not picked for the most part in Rainbow Six Siege. I really do think it needs to change. His recoil needs to be a lot it just needs to be either reduced to the point where there's almost no recoil, or it just has to be no recoil whatsoever. I feel like that would really help him out with the turret, because the turret just goes up and down like really rapidly when you're firing it. It's really hard to control, and I feel like that would just make him a lot better to choose because of that. Finally, for number 5, I think Tachanka just needs to have his turret not stationary. I feel like you should just be able to move your turret freely. For the new operator that's coming out and the new update, I feel like they could do kind of something similar to his gadget. I think his gadget is that you can deploy it somewhere else, and he'll be on like a remote. It's kind of like a remote turret basically. He controls it and he shoots at other players. Maybe if they had it to where it wasn't stationary, maybe he could either carry it, or either it's not an automated turret, but it's a controlled turret, so he has to go on a camera or something, or on his phone, and then you can control the turret from another direction. This would probably make him get picked a lot more, I think, and I think it would actually change the meta of the game like severely, because he wouldn't just be a sitting duck anymore. He could station the turret in places that the enemies would go into a room, and then they get shot by a turret and they wouldn't really know where it is, and Tachanka might be in another room. This would definitely like add a lot more playstyle with Tachanka, and I think that he'd be picked a lot more. Not to mention the actual like weight of Tachanka's gun, I think, is actually like half the weight of Capitão's gun, and Capitão is like I believe he's a 2-speed operator. I forgot on top of my head, but he's able to run around full speed with that. But Tachanka has to be in a stationary turret. To me, that doesn't make much sense. Not to mention Tachanka's, I think in his character bio it says that he weighs a lot more than most of the operators. Not to mention he's like the oldest of all the operators. So yeah, make the turret not stationary. I feel like that would definitely help him out quite a bit. Ubisoft is kind of just seems like they're confused on what to do with Tachanka, especially the devs. They don't know what direction to do with him, because they feel like if they do any direction, they'll kind of defeat the purpose of Tachanka. But to me, I feel like they should do that. They should have another mid-reinforcement season patch where they just completely overhaul Tachanka, because I just feel like that's what he needs. If you have an operator that's barely used and no one likes him, he's just a meme in the community, I feel like they should just completely overhaul him and just change the way he plays. That way people will actually choose him more, because that's what the devs want. They want people to choose each operator and have a lot more diversity in the playstyle, not just have just a couple key operators. Like, you know, on the pro leagues, all you see is just Ash and Thermite and Thatcher. Only, especially in the very vanilla of the game. When it first came out, you only had the first couple there was only like 5-6 operators that you really chose all the time in pro league, because they were just the obvious pick. And I think the overall character of Tachanka wouldn't make him, you know, of course, as good as Ash or anything, but maybe make him a lot more useful later down the line for the game. So for just a recap, for number 1, it's definitely increased the radius of the shield. I feel like that could be definitely implemented into the game. Have him have a 360 view of the turret, so maybe he can go around 360 view instead of just a 180, because I really feel like that harms his perspective a lot, especially since like you have to put it, you're stationary, so you know, might as well make it 360 so you have a little bit more room to shoot and stuff. And then number 3 is all ammo in one clip. That would definitely help out with the shootouts with Tachanka, and I feel like he would actually win a lot more because of that. His recoil in the gun definitely needs to go down. And number 5 is the one where I think they just need to completely overhaul his character and make the turret not stationary by either making it so he can just carry it around, lunge it around, kind of like a minigun or something, or they have it to where it's a remote controlled turret in which he places it nearby. Maybe he has to be like in close proximity, but he control it in a nearby turret. And it's just like it's kind of like the turret from Aliens. It'd pretty much just be like that, except he would have to actually control it. They wouldn't just be automated. I feel like that would just make him a lot better. And I feel like those are just the top 5 things that need to definitely be changed by Tachanka to make him a lot better in the Siege community. Well, this won't be the last of the rework series. I'm looking at the other operators such as Castle and Blackbeard. Other than that, I feel like a lot of the operators in Rainbow Six Siege are pretty well balanced, and they're not severely as bad as Tachanka. I just feel like he needs like a whole just rework of the character. I really enjoy playing him sometimes, but for the most part, I play him just because of the lols and the memes and stuff, because that's all he really is right now. I don't want him to just be like that. I want him to branch out and become an actual useful character into the series, and a character that people want to pick, and not just the Lord Tachanka meme. That's all he is right now, and to me, that's kind of sad, and I want him to change. And I hope the devs can finally realize that, you know, we do need to have change with the characters, and he's definitely one of them. I thank you all for watching or for listening to me rant about a video game character, and I will hopefully have another video out in about a month or so. So take care. Op 4 last stop standing.